Hey there everyone, it's Kristen and I wanted to go do a flip through of my Halloween Magical Playbook. So if you have been on my feed for a while, my Instagram feed or my YouTube channel, you've seen me or one of my students go through their Magical Playbook. So a Magical Playbook is really what I call an interactive grimoire. It is a book of interactive things. So instead of being a reference book like we think of with a normal grimoire, you might keep your spells in there, your tarot spreads, things like that. The Magical Playbook is a place where you actually can play in your book. So I hope that makes sense. I'll be taking you on a flip through of mine. You can also see some other Magical Playbook things. And I have a bunch of things that I will be referencing, and I will put links in the description below so you can get a hold of the materials. I will probably also be mentioning some of my other classes as well. So I'll put all the links in there. So first of all, I used a couple of scrapbook pads to make this Halloween Magical Playbook, and I'm gonna stop calling it a Halloween Magical Playbook soon because as I was developing it, I really thought it would be great to use past Halloween for just my playing card decks and maybe other fortune telling decks that are a little bit smaller. So the main idea for this came from this Mystic Moon paper pad, and I'll just do kind of like a quick flip. So I got this pad and I thought it would be really neat to just use some of the pages, the papers from it, as a backdrop for card readings, just a place to lay the cards. And you know, most of my playing card readings are like three cards anyway, but I thought it might be fun to do with like the zombie tarot, you know, something like that, just to have a layout for, I like to have backdrops sometimes for the cards. Sometimes it gets boring just using the same backdrop. So that's where this started. And then I just started turning a lot of the pages into interactive pages, which makes it a Magical Playbook. So this is one of the paper pads that I used, and then later I got this larger one. First of all, you can see this one is an 8x8, and that is the size of my Magical Playbook. Then I got this Witch's Brew pad, which is 12x12, but I mostly just kind of use different pieces from it, and I'll probably use cut down some of the pad and put into it. And then I also bought this sticker book. It's by Recollections. I've used most of the stickers from it. Just gives you a sense of, so you can see I've used pretty much most of the stickers, but some really neat stickers in this particular sticker book. So let me take you through my Magical Playbook page by page, but I just wanted you to see, like, first it really just started as a little book of backdrops, and it's turned into, kind of morphed into something more. I'm also using, you can see these little discs. I used the Happy Planner disc system. Just because it's so versatile. You can add pages, remove pages very easily. And I also have a Happy Planner punch that punches these holes in, so you can add your pages really easily. So I use these little discs for pretty much everything now. So it's really easy to make your own Magical Playbook with these discs. And just, you know, in whatever sizes that you want. So like I said, this is an 8x8. And you'll notice on the front, if you're in my Make This Magical Playbook class, you saw that I had something like this attached to my Magical Playbook. This is a little bag. I have it attached with a book ring. I'm just going to take it off. And this little bag it's a bag of tools that I use or I might need for use with my Magical Playbook. So I'm just going to take these out, show them to you, and just kind of set them to the sides. So the first thing is a little miniature deck of cards. Let me get the light. Okay, hopefully that light will be a little better. So it's a little miniature deck of cards. It comes from this Witch's Brew pad. And I just cut them out and laminated them. So it just makes a cute little oracle deck that you can use, you know, inside the Magical Playbook. The next thing I'm going to pull out are my dice. I have 3 dice. I like to do a lot of divination with dice just because it's quick and easy, particularly in the Magical Playbook. There are lots of different ways to use dice. So I'm just going to put those aside. I made a pendulum this morning really quickly. It only takes about 5 minutes to make these pendulums. You just need something for the end, a weight, and your chain, and then some type of charm. So this is the pendulum. I have a couple of pendulum pages or ways that I might use the pendulum with this Magical Playbook. And I do like to make different tools for different playbooks. The last 2 things that are in here are from the Tim Holtz ephemera collection. If you're not familiar with Tim Holtz, you may want to become familiar because there are a lot of things in here that reference his craft collections, and I tend to take those things and just make them into magical tools, but you know, most people will take them and make them into ephemera, junk journals, things like that. So he has a set, it's called Boneyard. It has these little resin bones. They just feel like light plastic. There's more of them in the set than this. This is all that I think I need for my Magical Playbook. So I thought these would be great for casting, just like bone divination. And then the last thing that's in here is a group of charms. Can't remember what this set is called, but it's like Halloween charms. I'll put all the names and everything that I can find into the description below. But as you can see, they're all Halloween related names. Toxic Elixirs, Lost and Found, Hocus Pocus, Fortune Teller. So I haven't really gone through and assigned, you know, too many meanings for these, but these to me are casting, for like casting charms. And then I also have, he has a set called Paper Dolls. And they're just these different vintage portraits that are like on some cardstock. And I'm going to be using these for poppets. Everyone who knows me knows I love poppets. I love to make poppets, and this time I just thought I will probably just use these as poppets, and I'll show you how I might use them. I have this one that is the same thing, but you can see I've added some jump rings to his legs, so I'll show you how I use this one. So now we're looking at the Halloween Magical Playbook. I'm just going to call it a Magical Playbook. And you can see how thick it is. I'm using the mini discs. So I really didn't want it to be super thick or big. So this is probably about the size it's going to stay. I might add a few more pages. This is the front. I'm just going to show you, let's see. I think this was it. So this was the paper that I used for the cover, and you can see I just added some of the stickers from this sticker book to the front, and that was just so I can make sure that I knew where the front and the back were. It just helps orient the Magical Playbook. So this is the front. What I really love about these papers, and all the papers in here are double-sided. So when you open it up, on the back, you have this paper. So you could always just turn this over, you know, and do a reading with some cards here on the back, for example, in any of the pages like that. That's one of the things that I really like about it. It is double-sided. One of the things that I really enjoy making are altars. I think of these as portable altars, and I've been making them digitally. You can do these by hand, but basically they're altars that you'd have in your Magical Playbook. And it's going to be a little hard for you to see this, I think. But basically, let's do this like this, maybe. Let me move this here for a minute. Maybe you can see this a little bit. So basically, your altar would stand up like this. So this is the back, and then this would be the base. And you could put a crystal grid here. You could lay out some cards here, just so you can see that page a little bit better. So all I did here is just took one of the main stickers, and then I just put a whole bunch of stickers around it. And in my Mystic Crafts class this month, we are doing an altar triptych. That is our craft. And this one is not a triptych, but this is basically the design for the center of the triptych. So I thought this would look really, really cool just in a Magical Playbook, just by itself. So that's one altar. I have two more altars. On this page, we have a skeleton, and this is a skeleton that can be removed or repositioned. This was a sticker from the sticker book, and I just laminated it. I do like to have stickers that I really love, just laminate them and use them, you know, in different ways, be able to reposition them for different things. I was thinking of this kind of like a casting. I haven't really played with it too much, but even doing like a actual casting to me is when you throw and see what lands where. And I was thinking of the skeleton in terms of anatomy, the physical anatomy, and also somatic anatomy in terms of the symbolism of different areas of the body. So again, I haven't really played with that one too much. The next altar is my altar for Samhain, and I'll just show it to you first. Came out a little dark. It didn't print quite as well as I was hoping that it would. Might be easier to see it this way. And then again, you could set this up. You can put cards, crystals, whatever your tools are down here on this part, and just use it as, you know, a portable type of altar. The next altar that I have, I consider more of an ancestral altar. And I will be using this one. Let me show it this way first. I'll be using this one with a deck that I created called the Legacy Kipper. This is not a deck that I have for sale. It's just a deck that I use to really study Kipper. Hopefully you can see that a little bit. And so, like I said, I just like the altars just because I think they give the Magical Playbook kind of a special area for you to, you know, do whatever you'd like. Like I said, crystal grids, tarot cards, but just a place where you can kind of focus, a little area of focus and meditation. So the next page, we start to get into some of the casting boards and divination tools. So most of my Magical Playbooks are usually divination related, although in Make This Magical Playbook, I present a lot of different lessons on different things you can add to your Magical Playbook that aren't just divination. I'm going to show you this page. This one is a casting page by Carrie Paris. If you're not familiar with Carrie Paris, please check her out. She's got some really great casting sheets that are free to download on her website. This is one of them. This is another. And then the one on the back is also hers. And these are just really cool. Again, you can use them to cast, like actually throw something there if you have charms, a charm casting set. Or again, you can cast something like these and see where they land. And I'm going to go back because I started making some of my own casting sheets as well. But those are the ones that I have that are from Carrie Paris. This is an image that I found, I think on Pixabay, and I use it with my little bone set here. And I'm not going to cast these because I'm afraid they'll go all over the place. But basically, when you cast them, you're going to see where the bones land, and also there is a large, medium, and small size. So I'm just looking at them in terms of where are they predominantly. So they seem to be focused more on this green area. You could also look at, you know, how they're intersecting with each other, because we have one here that's crossed. So I haven't gone through really and made a lot of notes on meaning for those, but if you already do casting of some sort, a lot of these pages will just be great for casting. This next page, I found online a Stranger Things Ouija board. And so I don't know if you guys are fans of that TV show. I just thought this was really cool. I'm going to pop this out real quick just to kind of show it to you a little bit closer. And it had a little planchette, which I took the middle out of, and then I laminated these two things. So when I use this, and I don't use Ouija for spirit communication, I just use this as another divination tool. I usually use it with my non-dominant hand, and I will just move it and just kind of let it stop in different places, just to see if it's making any words or anything that kind of stands out to me. A lot of my Magical Playbook, the purpose of making them is really just for play and getting back to that whole feeling of play and the magic of play. Everything doesn't have to be super serious all the time. And in that play, you'll find that you can really find a lot of your intuitive sides come out when you're just being very playful, and again, where you're not taking yourself too seriously. This is a page that I made, and it's designed just for one card. So you would pull one card, put it here, and it says, pull a card to cover the gate, find out what is dead and buried. So this would be energy that needs to be released or that's already gone, that you need to be saying goodbye to. On the back of this one is a casting sheet I made that's based on the Edgar Allan Poe poem, The Raven. And I was running out of ink, so that's why it's all purpley, but I kind of liked the look here. What I realized when I started making my own casting sheets was that these little circles are the perfect size for my bottle cap oracle. And we did the bottle cap oracle. We made this in the Mystic Crafts class, I think for August. I believe it was for August. I'm just putting them here randomly. Usually I just kind of close my eyes and, you know, pick something. But this just gives you a sense of, you know, how you would lay this out. And then you would use the images here for your interpretation. The images along with whatever the message is. And I have a couple more of these that I really will be using with my bottle cap oracle. This one is the Golden Wheel. It is a little fortune teller. I'll pull it out real quick just so you can see it. It's a fortune telling page that I found on archive.org. And I just did a video about how to find vintage fortune telling images for your ephemera or for oracle cards or whatever you want to create a magical playbook. And I think for this one, I'm really just going to do a close my eyes and point to something. So it looks like I'm pointing to 92, which reduces to the number 2. So for, if we think about numerology, if you've studied numerology, this is just gives you a kind of really quick overview. I have questions that are associated with each number. So for when I see the number 2, I'm going to look at, are we compatible? So I would be asking myself, what do I need to know about compatibility with a person or a situation, a business, or something like that? I can also look up the number 92 in a book that gives me, or resource, could be online, that talks about the numerology of that number and get some insights there. The back of this is a map. So in the Make This Magical Playbook class, we do magical maps. And so this is one of those. I'm going to pull it up, and I'm not sure that you'll be able to see it, but let's see, it's really tiny. I purposely made this tiny. This is a map. It's another form of vintage image that I found on, I don't remember exactly where it was, probably the New York Public Library digital collections, but there's a couple websites that I use to find vintage images like this. And I made it small on purpose, so you have to use maybe a magnifying glass, or you have to really go you know, close to look it up. But this works with a dice divination system. For this dice system, you only need 2 dice. And you would think about a question, roll the dice. You're going to put them in order in terms of the smallest to largest number. So we've got 36. And then you're going to look on your chart for number 36. I'm not sure if I'm going to find it right off the bat, but these numbers match up to the major arcana tarot. So let's see. I haven't found it yet. Oh, there it is. No, that says 56. I'm sure I'll find it after I put all this down. So once you find the number, that just gives you whatever card that's giving you some insight. Still looking for it. Anywho, but that's how you would use this particular page. So this is a dice page. Just turning it back over, and again, this is another casting page. This is one that I found some ephemera online. This is Mademoiselle Lenormand, and then I added some extra background images. If you turn it over, I'll leave this out. I found this image on Pixabay, and I'm using it just as a casting space. So let's see, for this time we have 3 dice, and we have 1, 5, 5. So for this particular dice system, this is one that I created. I do have this available as a free PDF. It's called Dice Divination 3 Ways. And so you would look up 155. And it says, expect a complication in your plans. So this is a good system for like a daily read, or if you have a specific question. The next page is another casting page. Again, you can use your bottle cap oracle or other casting tools. And I say casting because sometimes I do like to throw and see what they land on, but you can also just place things, which isn't technically casting. We still call these casting sheets. But you can just place things directly, you know, where you want to place them. But again, whatever you would use, you're kind of fishing it out at random. You could put these charms into a bag and then fish them out and then put them onto all of these or just a couple of them. I kind of created these so that these were more like general readings. So you don't have to do all of them. If you don't have time, you could just pick out a couple of things that you wanted to know. And another casting sheet like that. This one is more about mind, body, spirit. I would consider this like a mind, body, spirit read. You could use these little bones and cast them over the palmistry hand and see what they land or what they're kind of pointing to, because the palmistry hand is going to bring us zodiac sign energy and also the energy of the planets. So there's more information that you can read into here. And then the next page is another find from the internet. This one, I turned this into a what type of relationship pendulum chart. And that's really how I use these. I just figure out how do I want to use them. A lot of times there's, in these books that you might find, there's a lot of information that will give you the answers, you know, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And I tend to figure out what's going to work best for me and how do I want to use this chart. Since I have my own playing card system, I have my own playing card class. In case you're not aware, it's called Your Future is in the Cards. What I did was just use the playing card information here and created a little key, which is about what type of relationship are you in. So for this one, I would use my pendulum. And this little clock here, I'm just going to put my pendulum right at the center point. And I would ask a question like, what type of relationship am I really in? And then I just watch to see where the pendulum moves. It looks like it's going to D. So we would just look at D on flip the page over, and that's an on again, off again relationship. So that is that page. And the next page is similar. You'll see some of these are like full pages and some of them are just kind of half, 3/4 pages. This is another fortune telling page. This one I found on the Graphics Fairy. And I really love making magic spinners. That's what these are, magic spinners. This page was already set up for spinners, so I couldn't resist actually putting real spinners in there. And I think of, you know, this is supposed to be, I think, for determining how many kids you have and what type of spouse you're going to marry. But I will probably use it in a little bit of a different way. But spinners are really easy to make. I get these game spinners, again, from Tim Holtz. You do have to adjust them a little bit if you have had the book sitting on it. Okay, and then depending on what information you want to find out will depend on which spinner you use. Now this page, one thing I do want to say about spinners, whenever you have a spinner in, this is just a tip for you, if you're using these brads to hold them in, they're going to create an indentation on the previous page. You might be able to see that, I'm not sure. So I like to put in a buffer page that lays on top of them. So that could just be a page that's blank, or it could be a page where you don't really care if it has some indentations on it. But just so that you know, that will happen if you are using these brads. This page is what I call a Poppet Playbook, playground page. I usually use these as manifestation pages for spell work. That would be, I guess, how I think of them. This one I didn't necessarily do just for that purpose. I just really liked the background, and I just thought, what the heck, we'll put it in. But typically the Poppet Playground is a place where your poppets can sit, you know, where you can put your poppets into an environment that is hopefully an environment that you want, so it will help you manifest different things. In this case, and this is just a little sofa, but I have found that when I put these paper dolls here, that it gives me a sense of talking to my parents who've crossed over. And so it's just kind of a place, again, kind of like the altar, where you can have a place to be quiet or meditate or focus. I think of these really as focusing areas, to focus your intentions in some way. And I really love just putting different people in these seats. They all have just kind of a different look and feeling. There's lots of stories here that you could tell. And to me, the stories are really the root of your intuition. Using your imagination for stories is how you create things, how you can manifest things. Oops. So I've just been kind of playing around with this particular page, and I really love the way that it turned out. Now on the back of this is, I think, the last casting sheet. This one is done specifically as a spirit communication casting sheet for somebody who has crossed over. And it's just giving you some information about them and what message they might have for you, and also just kind of information about their purpose, their what is it that they may have left over here, any residue, and what their message might be to you. Now the next page is a buffer page. This is what I was talking about before in terms of creating a buffer page for any type of spinner work. And this page, make sure you can see that. This page was, I'm just going to show you the front. This was in this paper pad, And I always have these pages and I never know what to do with them. So this time I thought I want to do something specific with this kind of page. So this is what I did with this page. I added a spinner, and this spinner is a clock, but I always say think about the units. Whenever you're doing divination with, when you have something with numbers like this, think about the units. There's 12 units here. There's actually 60 because if you think about 60 minutes in an hour. But the number 12 we can think about in terms of months. We can think about in terms of hours. You could use this spinner for figuring out which month would be a good month to do something in. And so it's looking like close to July. So this would be 6, which would be June. So it's towards the end of June, almost July. That would be the time frame that you would look at. This section here, look into my crystal ball. I cut this out, and when you lift up the flap, you can see the page that's underneath, which is my Stichomancy Scrying page. We'll see that in just a minute. I was experimenting with envelopes, and I decided to add an envelope. If you've ever seen any of the Tim Holtz stuff, or really any of the little vintage ephemera packs, there's always these really neat cards and things that are from the, from real vintage business cards and things like that. And I just thought it would be cute to put a little envelope in here and keep some of those in here. So that is that envelope. And then I was very excited that I could make an envelope, so I decided to make another envelope. And this one I made, I'm just going to pull this out, this little flap out. This one holds my magic puzzle. So one of the other fun things with the Magical Playbook that I created was a magic puzzle. This one is based on the, I think they're called patience cards. You've also probably seen them as like a Russian fortune-telling cards. And this little buffer page, we would fold back down, and now we have a surface to do our reading. So usually, and I'm just going to kind of throw these out really quickly, you shuffle them up really good first, then you lay them down like this, and I always do them as 9 cards. You turn the cards over. You turn them over like a book instead of flipping them like up and down. So turn them over from left to right or right to left. And it's a puzzle, so you want to find matches. You want to find pairs. There's one that is right there, is the pumpkin. You want to look and see, do you see any others? I see the spider web here. So you can turn the cards, but you can't move them to different positions, but you can turn them around. So I'm just looking for any other pairs that I might see. And I see another pair here, but once I've made one pair, I don't change them again. You can, but I go with the one that I see first. Oh, and I see the heart here too. So I'm going to turn those. And that might be all that we can make. Sometimes you can look and see another one. That's what I think is part of the divinatory process. What you see and what you don't see is important. So if you don't see anymore, even if there is one there, if you don't see it, it's not there. It's not important for you. And then you take the ones that you did see, the pumpkin, the spider, the heart, and you would use the interpretations of those symbols for your reading. And then once you're done with your reading, collect your cards up again. flip your page and stick them back into their little envelope. And then the next page is, I'm just going to turn this down a little bit. The next page is a Stickomancy scrying page. So Stickomancy is, it's scrying, which is looking, seeing basically something that's not technically there, but it's using line or verse. So I use, let me just show you these. Again, Tim Holtz. I told you by the time you get through all this, you're going to be buying Tim Holtz stuff. I swear he is a wizard. So you're going to, what I did, which was really easy, I've done this with books as well, but this is easy because there are already a whole bunch of clippings. I think that's what this particular one is called. There's a Halloween version and just a regular version, and they're just different. They look like they're from books, but they're stickers, which makes it really easy. You just stick them on. There's another set here. You can see I've gone through this pretty well. I think this one's called Small Talk. And what I did was one side has one set of stickers and the other side has the other stickers. This side I use more like predictive readings, and this side I use for guidance readings. So if you look, it says things like stay strong, fly, life is good, find the beautiful, make a wish. Now what I did was I actually used a glue and water mixture to kind of seal this page because I love the texture. I love just feeling the page. And I just, you know, put that over top of everything. And I really haven't had any problems with it coming up or having any problem with, you know, any of these, you know, coming loose. What I love to do is just, you know, in the morning, or if you just want some insight, just allowing your fingers just to land on two different places and then you read them. So this one says storyteller and this one says realities and responsibilities. I also use one of these paper dolls. This is one I showed you that I had added the jump rings to. This is another way that I use poppets. They help with divination. And you would just throw him. And now I want to see where his feet land. And his one foot is on Lost in the Woods. And the other foot is on Do Leave Me Alone. And so this is just fun, you know, to toss and see where his feet land. And so that is really the final interactive page. The rest of the pages are, like I said originally, for doing layouts. So just using the card backgrounds for your layouts. This one is the Royal Mischief deck by Patrick Valenza. So I think it's a great deck to use with this particular playbook. I'm not going to show all the pages. I'm just going to kind of do a quick flip of some of them. So these are all, these ones that look really vintagey, are from Tim Holtz from two different pads. And then the ones in this area are from this Mystic Moon paper pad. And then the very last page of the Magical Playbook, I made what I call a sticker billboard. And again, I like a lot of different stickers. I want to hold on to them. I don't really want to stick them on a page, and I may not ever look at that page again. So I turn them into laminates. So I laminate them, I laminate a background, and then I put those stickers, you know, onto a page, and they can be repositioned, and you can add more stickers to those pages when you find them. And then this is just the back. And again, we are at the front. So that was my Halloween Magical Playbook, which for future reference is just going to be another Magical Playbook. Again, I'll probably use it for my backdrops and things like that, and also using it with my bottle cap oracle, with some of my dice, and also my new pendulum, as well as some of the really fun ephemera sets that I got this month and last month. So let me know if you have any questions in the comments, and I will be sure to put links to everything in the description below. Thanks for watching.